Hi there. Welcome to the week 4 learning guide for college algebra. This is part 5, and this will be the final part for week 4. We've covered a lot of information, and I hope you haven't missed any of it. But if you have, I will link the other week 4 videos below in the description. That way you can access them. Also, if this is the first time you're seeing my face, please make sure it is not the last by hitting that like and subscribe button. That way you'll get a notification every time a new video is posted. And we will be talking about piecewise functions as well as transformations in this video. We're going to jump into an example, although I have left you a note for later on. We are looking at piecewise functions here in number 1. And remember, piecewise functions tells us use this piece if x is between -1 and 2, and use this piece if x is between 2 and 6. Now for this, I like to do the pieces separately. So I'm going to build a table for the first piece. As you might guess, I'm going to choose the x values that are between here. So I've got -1, 0, 1, and 2. Then I'll build another chart, a table, for the second piece. And I am going to use the 2 again because it appears in both pieces. I want to make sure I know what's going on with each of those. So I'm going to put in -1 for x. -1 minus 1 would give me -2. Then I square gives me 4. Then I put in 0. 0 minus 1 gives me -1. Square it gives me 1. Put in 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Square it gives me 0. And put in 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Square it gives me 1. So I'm going to plot these. So I've got -1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Then I've got 0, 1. Then I've got 1, 0. And then I've got 2, 1. It's here. Now, you may think, how do I connect these? Well, look at your graph. Your graph is an x to the second power. If we multiplied it out, x to the second would be your highest power. That's a parabola shape. So I know this piece is going to look something like the parabola. So I can kind of see that, right? I've got my U shape going on. But please don't put arrows on the end because we were told to stop for these values of x. Now, for the second one, we're going to put in the second piece. So I've got 2 times -2 is -4, plus 5 is 1. 2 times negative, sorry, 2 times 3 is -6, plus 5 is -1. 2 times 4, -2 times 4 gives me -8, plus 5 gives me -3. -2 times 5 gives me -10, plus 5 is -5. And -2 times 6 is -12, plus 5 is -7. So now plot these points. 2, 1, 3, -1, 4, -3, 5, -5, and 6, -7. Okay. Now, what would this graph look like? Well, its highest exponent is a 1, so we know it's linear. So I know it should look like a line. So I'm going to take my straight edge and connect those. Remember, don't go past the endpoints because we had to stop at 6. All right, now it says, okay, state the domain. Looking at the two pieces together, what's your domain? Well, it looks like my domain is from -1 to 6. Remember, domain refers to the x. So I've got -1 to 6. And then it said to state your absolute max and mins. Okay, well, where is my absolute max? Well, my absolute max is your highest point no matter what. So your highest point on this graph looks to be at -1, 4. And then your absolute min is the lowest value on the graph no matter what. And that happens to be here at 6, -7. See, once you get your graph done, then you can just read that information from the graph. You read the domain. You can read the absolute min and max. Okay, let's look at number 2. And number 2, we're asked to graph two different functions. I'm going to switch over to our Desmos calculator. If you have not been using the Desmos calculator, I definitely will link it below. That way you can use it. And we're going to type in both of these functions here. We were asked to graph x squared. Get a nice graph there. Now remember with Desmos, you can always come over here and click on the graph, and Desmos will give you points exactly. Well, mine's there. See how it just follows along? But I do have a point at 1, 1. We saw that. So I'm going to graph those. I've got 0, 0, and 1, 1. And keep going, and you can get a point here at, looks like 2, 4. Okay, so I'm going to graph 2, 4. And then you can do some negatives as well. And you get this nice graph. Now remember, this is y equals x squared. This is f of x equals x squared. Now, in the second one, I'm going to put in the x plus 2 in parentheses squared. There it is. Okay. Notice Desmos put it in a different color. So now you can get some points from there as well and plot those. And here's the question is, what happened? What happened from the green graph on Desmos to the black graph? What happened from the first one to the second one? It shifted where? Shifted to the left, right? Shifted to the left. How many? Shifted to the left too, didn't it? See, that plus 2 inside of that parentheses made it go left 2. Now look at your domain and ranges, okay? For both graphs, your domain is everything, all real numbers, we could say. And your range is the same, right? Your lowest y value is your 0, and all the y values are above that. So y is greater than or equal to 0 works for our range there. Okay, now we're going to look at our last problem in this part of the learning guide, and that is to do another graph. So I'm going to leave us here on Desmos and clear out these two, because now we're being asked to graph square root of x. Okay, and I'll make a sketch of that. Again, you can get some points from that graph there. There's my first graph. And then I want to graph, and this one's got to be careful, square root of x. And now use your right arrow to get out from underneath that square root and type +3. And you get the blue graph. See, if you don't use that right arrow, you'll stay underneath that square root. Okay, now what happened? What happened from the red graph to the blue graph? It shifted it up, right? How many? It shifted up 3. Good. Okay, so that +3, when it is not underneath, if it's not with the x underneath the square root, then it needs to go up 3, right? So we're seeing some of those transformations. Now let's talk about domain. We can tell from these graphs, both of the domains are from x being 0 and bigger. So we're going to say x is greater than or equal to 0. The ranges are a little different though, okay? The range for the first graph is that y is greater than 0. But when we shifted it up 3, then the range for the second graph is that y is greater than or equal to 3 because we shifted it up 3. And all of that information, I want you analyzing from the graph. So use Desmos here to help you with that. Now I'm shifting back to our learning guide just in case you missed any of those things I wrote down that was too small. Don't forget, if you have a question or a comment and you want to leave it in the comments below, I am happy to help. If you need other math help, if you say college algebra is not really what I'm working on, but you want other math resources or you want to check into my tutoring that's available and all of that good stuff, feel free to reach out to me on one of the social media uh, platforms there. I would love the opportunity to help you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye for now.